So welcome back everybody to another episode of Build and Drive. If you found this video, that means you're probably looking at buying a used car. Now I've owned 10 plus used cars in my day, and I want to help you guys learn from my mistakes on how to find a good used car. So when I went through my most recent purchase of buying my BMW E90, I kind of ignored some red flags, and that was a mistake of mine. I want you guys to avoid the terrible, catastrophic, break my wallet mistakes that I've been through. So hopefully by the end of the video, you can pick up on some helpful tips that I ignored on buying a good used car. So let's get started. So I think the first thing is you need to decide what the purpose of the car is for. If you're going to be using it for commuting, if you want a fuel efficient car, if you want a truck, you're going to be hauling stuff around. If you want do you need a van? Do you have a big family? Do you want just a daily budget driver that you can take to the track? Decide on the purpose. So when I moved to Germany, after renting a few small cars, I decided I needed a car with enough horsepower for the Autobahn. It's kind of dangerous to not have a lot of horsepower on the Autobahn to get around trucks and to merge properly and stuff. So I knew I needed something with over 150, 200 horsepower. I do go to the Nürburgring often. I'll link those videos down below if you're interested in going to the track. But for now, I needed a daily driver that I could take to the track, and that was my goal. Had to have at least 4 doors and some trunk space because I do haul around people from time to time. So, what?
And some trunk space because I do haul around people from time to time.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
What's your purpose of your car? So the second thing that we want to look at is your budget. How much do you want to spend? Are you looking at buying a new car? Are you looking at buying a used car? Do you want to lease a car? And this is going to limit your search quite a bit, and it's going to help you guys at the end of the day. So let's say you have $5,000 to spend on a used car. I think the biggest mistake that people make is that they'll budget enough money to buy the car, but then not do any maintenance on the car. So factor in at least $100 a month or $200 a month to do maintenance for the first year so that you can work out any of the kinks in the car right off the bat, and you're not buying a car that's leaving you stranded. So yeah, because normally when you buy a car, you're going to have to do brakes, you're going to have to do tires, you're going to have to do basic maintenance, oil change, brake flush, and so on and so forth. So factor in some money with the price of the car for maintenance. So when I went to go check out my BMW that I was interested in buying, it had new front tires, new rear tires, new front brakes. The water pump and thermostat had been done already. That's like $1,000 repair at BMW. It had a new valve cover gasket. So the guy had done some work to it. It seemed like it was in pretty good condition, and it was low mileage. So I was pretty happy about that. Little did I know, the car still needed a ton of work done to it, and I've spent a lot of money on the car in the last 4 years, even though I've done the work myself. But everything went wrong with this car, massive lemon, and we'll get into that in a little while. So the third thing you need to think about is leasing to own, financing to own, just cash outright. You need to do a calculation, like depending on your finances, as to what's currently possible for you. So I paid cash for my car, but some people don't have the cash to put down on a car. So you can go and lease a car and get quite low monthly payments. You can lease a car, $4,000 down with $200 monthly payments, $300 monthly payments. Depending on your finances and depending on how long you want the car for, depending on if you want to do repairs yourself or you just want a maintenance-free car, go get a new car. But if you feel that you can get, if you feel that you want one of these older BMWs, I would expect that, you're going to be paying cash for the car, and again, put some money aside. But note that leasing, you have to give the car back when you're done with it. So you'll have all this money invested in a car, maybe $10,000 over 3 years with the down payment, and then you're losing all of that. So just take note of that. So I just want to mention also that leasing does have its drawbacks. Like for one, if you buy a new car, they may say you are limited to X amount of miles, 10,000 miles a year, 15,000 miles a year. And if you drive over that, you will be charged per kilometer when you return the vehicle, because it depreciates the value of the vehicle the more the mileage it has. So if you're driving a lot, maybe buying another car outright is worth it for you. You know, if you've damaged the car, if the bumper's been scratched, if a window's cracked or something, they may also deduct. They may also charge you for that repair when you return the car, depending on what your lease says. So please do your due diligence in researching leases and stuff like that. It's something that I don't really have experience with, but you should really think about that. So number 4 on our list is doing some research. So when you know what kind of car you want, what the purpose is for, and what the budget is, Google best 4-door sedan or best family sedan or whatever it is you're looking, or best hot hatchback, best daily driver, budget track car. Just start Googling and doing some research into the different types of cars that are available, because this will help also narrow your search so that you're looking for a good, reliable car, and you can read about the different problems and drawbacks that each car has. So once you've whittled the list down to a few cars, let's actually start searching for cars. So while you're searching for cars, there are a few things that make a car more valuable than others, and that's normally the year, how new it is. The newer it is, the more valuable it is. Make and model. So depending on the make and model, like a Honda Civic or a Ford Taurus, the make and model will normally determine like how popular a car is and how much it will depreciate and stuff like that over time. So some make and model cars are like super reliable, and therefore they're super popular, and you can get them. Those are now more expensive over time. So like, for example, my friend's Volkswagen van, these camper vans, even though it was really old, it was from the 90s, it still sold for almost the same price that they bought it for, even though it was 3 years later. So that van held its value. It's still valuable to people over time, and people are willing to pay that. So the next item that makes a car more valuable is mileage. So it's pretty obvious that a car with more miles is worth less, as it's more worn out and maybe needs more repairs. So I would recommend searching for a lower mileage car. But in my case, my car had 100,000 kilometers on it. It was driven by some old guy, but the car was 15 years old. It was a 2005 BMW E90. And anything over 10 years, you're going to want to watch out for, because the rubber's going on it, the seals are going bad on it, and things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're factoring your budget. You may have to do some more finicky repairs like that in the long run, unless those things have been changed. So just keep that in mind. The next thing that makes a car more valuable is its maintenance history, kind of like what I was just saying. And if the owner has a stack of receipts, this can be a really good thing. It shows that they've really taken good care of the car and maintained it and done the major repairs like a thermostat and water pump or a timing chain. And if they can prove that they've done the work, this is of value to you, because then you don't have to do that work over the long run. Now, it could also mean that the car is a complete lemon and it just can't be fixed. There's something else wrong with it. So maybe also keep that in mind and stay away from a car like that. So lastly, was a car in an accident or not? If the car was in an accident, it definitely reduces the value if it has a salvage or a rebuilt title. So this will greatly affect the price of the car if it's been crashed. So when you sort cars by price and you see like, oh, there must be an awesome deal on this car, maybe it's been in an accident before, so you should be careful about that. Maybe if the repair has been done properly, you should just double check all of that. So now I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did when I was searching for my car. So I knew I wanted a BMW. I was kind of looking at the Audis and doing research on them. And the older Audis, A4, A3, they have major oil consumption issues. But so did, I found out later on, that so did the BMWs. It seems that era is cursed. But anyway, I knew I wanted a BMW. I had driven a few before. I really liked them. I was always impressed with how refined a BMW was in its driving experience. So I knew I wanted a sporty car, above 200 horsepower, at least 4-door, with a trunk, but I didn't want the station wagon because it's a huge car. You can't really park it in the small towns. And so when I went looking for these cars, man, they are super expensive. I don't know why people are hanging on to them. Over 200,000 kilometers, 220,000 kilometers. It costed about 8,000 euros. I thought that was kind of insane. Those cars were really holding their value. So when I found this car, I was amazed. Like, wow, this car is super low mileage. Again, it was owned by an older guy and then sold to this younger guy. He owned it for 2 years. So when I went to see the car, you know, it looked like it had been well taken care of. The front brakes were new. The tires were new all around, new Goodyear tires. It needed some rear brakes eventually. And the vehicle history was only good up to when that newer kid owned it. So the vehicle history showed me all the way up to about 80,000 kilometers or something like that, the car had been well maintained. And so I could assume that the car is now at 100,000 kilometers, that's pretty true and an honest reflection of the mileage. I took it for a test drive. I didn't notice anything wrong. The guy said again, the water pump and timing belt, the water pump and thermostat was done, which is a $1,000 repair. I definitely wanted to avoid that. It came with a new set of winter tires. It came with 2 keys. Keys are quite expensive on the BMWs to get them reprogrammed at the dealership. And the guy had dropped the price twice in the last couple weeks. I had starred that listing. And so I was like, okay, this may be the one that I should go look at and go get. And I thought to myself, you know what? Even if I buy this car and I don't like it, I can sell it in a year for the same price that I bought it for. No harm, no foul, right? And now looking back at this purchase, here are the mistakes that I made that I don't want you guys to make. So number 1, I didn't get the car inspected. I needed the car right away. I had been renting a car, and so I was like gonna return that car or I was gonna use the rental car to go pick up that car. So I kind of rushed the purchase, and that was my mistake. I should have taken it, got it inspected, got under the car, looked at everything, because, and again, you would never know this just test driving the car, but it had an oil leak on the oil pan, which is a really expensive repair. It was $600 to replace at an independent shop. And that's not an easy DIY. Like, you got to take the subframe out, and you can do it, but it is really difficult. So $600 down the drain. I could have just got it inspected and bargained with the kid a bit. That would have been a better idea. So the second thing I went wrong is I should have researched specifically that year, make, and model of that car and that specific engine code. I thought 325i, 330i, they just share the same engine, and they're like, the computer is just modified a bit to get the extra power. Well, I was wrong. The 2005 to 2007 or 8 European N52B25, this is an engine they did not sell in the US, had really bad oil consumption issues. And I didn't know that. I didn't Google that engine code. I didn't even know that engine was in there when I bought the car. So after the first week of driving this car around, I go to turn off the car and I get the dreaded yellow add oil light, which is not something you want to see after a week of driving the car. So I thought, you know what? I'll just change the oil. Maybe the guy didn't change the oil, and we'll refreshen everything up. Won't be a big deal. Car can't be burning oil, right? But little did I know, the car was burning oil like crazy, and I started to document it. Even after I repaired the oil leak, there was no more oil leaks. It was still burning oil like crazy, and I have a whole nother video on that. I'll link down below or up here. So oil consumption is something you won't know until you actually drive the car like 1,000 kilometers and you can actually measure it. So you should ask the owner, hey, is it burning oil? Do your due diligence. I've done so many videos trying to figure out if I can reduce the oil consumption, and I'll have all of those videos down below. So the third thing, the red flag that I should have noticed when I went to check out the car is the younger guy put a sport bumper on the front. Now it's like one of the N54 335i sport bumpers with the new headlights. And I thought, okay, he's a younger dude. He wants to, stunt on his friends and show off his car. But little did I know, when I took the bumper off, I noticed a little crease in the metal crash bar. And I noticed, okay, this car has been impacted, But when I looked at it had the original radiator in it and stuff like that. So it wasn't a big impact, but still the car had been in a minor fender bender, and it would have been great to know that ahead of time. So again, to get a good deal when you're buying a used car, it will take some time and research. Go see a lot of cars, go test drive a lot of cars. Hopefully you can use this information to avoid the mistakes that I made. If you're interested in following along on my builds, you can check them out on my channel or linked below. So hope you enjoyed the video. Type down in the comments the cars that you're interested in, or if I missed anything, and you can follow me on social media and ask me questions there as well. Good luck hunting for your guys' used cars, and see you guys in the next video.